Hi, everybody. I'm Diane Brady. I'm here with Ashley Tyrner, who is the founder and CEO of FarmboxRx. Let's start by telling you what it is you do.
Thanks so much for having me.
And welcome. And we are at the Milken Institute Global Conference, I should say, in case people think we just happened to meet in a crowded room.
In the lobby of a hotel. So we deliver FarmboxRx. We deliver food as medicine, but really food as engagement to engage health plan members in their self-efficacy journey in their own health.
Now, food is medicine. Can I stop you right there? How is food medicine? I mean, of course, eat better, live better, but is it actually medicinal?
Well, so if we back up a little bit, in 2020, the Center for Medicare and Medicaid allowed food and produce to be offered as a benefit under SSBCI. Mm-hmm. And so basically they're taking a look at the whole person care. What goes into this individual being unwell and sick and
so if you have diabetes or something like that.
Type 2 diabetes, hypertension, cardiovascular disease.
So you had this model. I imagine it's a model that does not work without some sort of inspired policymaker or some intersection with the public sector to actually make this economic. Is that correct?
Yes. So we partner with the health plans who are, funded from the Center for Medicare and Medicaid from government dollars.
Can you walk me through how you got to that place? Like, how did you get to the point where a health plan would say, well, yes, Ashley, I'd like to work with you in doing this?
Well, if we really back up 13 years ago, I was pregnant with my now 12-year-old daughter. I lived in a rural food desert, and I was on food stamps. Mm-hmm. I started the company 9 years ago as a direct-to-consumer entity. I met Sam Kass, who was the senior policy advisor to the Obamas for Nutrition, and I worked alongside Sam Kass to help push policy forward to have SNAP and EBT accepted online as a form of payment. And through my food policy work, I had found out that CMS was changing regulations for food and produce to be offered as a benefit. And so we were the first to market in the food as medicine movement. We really created the space where the member of the health plan does not pay us for the box, rather the health plan pays us for the box of food.
How do you incentivize people to eat well? I mean, and I'm not making that a class argument. Most of us grow up eating certain kinds of food. You present us with a head of lettuce or whatever, and you're just like, thanks very much.
Yeah, no, it's a great question. There's a really common misconception that just because someone is low income, they don't want to eat healthy. They don't have accessibility, they can't afford the food, and then they don't know what to do with it. So you really have this pyramid, we call it, it's the triangle, of you have to have those three things. So every box we put out the door has health literacy that also educates the member on their chronic condition. The reality is, the health plan will pay for an hour with the doctor, but most people spend not even 15 minutes in with the doctor. So they need to understand what their hypertension means. What do they need to change in their diet? So we take members through an entire self-efficacy journey of being able to afford the food, have the food delivered to them, and then what to do with the food.
So it's a combination of the health plans, Medicaid, SNAP benefits get involved in it as well, or is that a whole separate?
No, that's a separate division of our company.
So that's a separate division. So what is happening right now in terms of when you see the policy that's taking place in Washington, discussions of a debt ceiling, where can we cut, and a tough economic climate, how is that impacting your business?
Yeah, so the public health emergency, is ending. And that means that, SNAP dollars were also cut by an average of about $82 per person a month. Yeah. It's a lot of money when you live off of statistically $1,000 a month for everything. So that's going to have a trickle down effect to our healthcare. People are going to have to look to less, nutrient dense food in order to just survive.
Yeah.
And so we won't see this effect today, but it is going to have a trickle down effect.
Given the science around preventive medicine, if I have a private, I've got a PPO plan. Are they also intrigued by what you're doing? Are they supporting what you're doing for members who may have diabetes who are not on public, Medicaid or Medicare?
Absolutely. We do have a number of commercial insurers that work with us to provide food as medicine to their employees who have diabetes or hypertension to help reverse those claims dollars. But what we did truly was revolutionary in how we got into healthcare, because there truly is no budget yet out of the 1115 Medicaid waiver for food. So we took the approach of we would engage members in the health plan STARS and HEDIS measures, which is other preventable.
So the incentives like go get a mammogram
That's right.
and you'll get this, really?
That's right.
So you're basically you're not gamifying, it's not gamified, but you're incentivizing people to so how does that work? If you do this, you'll get a box of food?
Yep. So you get the box, and then all of a sudden you get that. If you go get the mammogram, another box arrives at your door, but you're educated in that box. You're taught if you want to go get your mammogram, the health plan provides transportation for you to get to the doctor, to get to the hospital for this mammogram. People don't know what they don't know. They'll call us and they'll say, I want to get another box of food, but I don't have transportation to go get my mammogram. They don't recognize that they have maybe 20 rides provided to them a year. So it's taking members on a journey through other benefits that they have available to them to help with their overall preventative care.
So can you give me, I know it's probably early days, but how is this actually working out? Can you give us some statistics to, I'm a health plan, I'm like, okay, sell me on what you're doing. Where are the metrics?
Well, in the past 2 years, we have now 83 health plans that we work with, including 4 of the top national insurers. We will do $75 million in revenue this year. We've not taken a dollar of venture capital. Mm-hmm. So the market is definitely growing. It's a market we've created. There's now some other competition that's entering the market, which we completely welcome because it tells us we have created a viable space and there is venture capital dollars pouring into this industry. So over the next few years with the 1115 waiver that's coming out in Medicaid, to actually take a look at the ROI, which I call the ridiculously obvious, return of investment.
As opposed to return on investment, right?
If you eat healthy, you're going to be healthier. And that's what the 1115 waiver is going to study. But that can take 3 to 5 years to see through changing someone's diet, how do we reverse their type 2 diabetes?
Well, let me ask you another question before we end, which is that not just privacy, but pride, which is, we've seen many cases where people balk at you telling me what to eat, whether it's a mayor, refusing to not wanting people to buy supersized drinks or sending people food that they just, frankly don't like to eat. How do you address that very real kind of, human pride factor of people have habits, they have preferences, and there's something paternalistic about you giving me a box of food and saying, it's medicine, we want you to take this.
And that's why our program is so successful, is because we give people the tool on a level of being just kind to them and not making them jump through hoops.
And they can choose from menus.
They can choose from different culture cuisines. If they're, I'm half Mexican, it's very important to inspire someone in their culture's cuisine.
Yeah.
And we take somebody on a journey of having something attainable that has always seemed not attainable to them. Like if you think of the food stamp program, it was revolutionary when it went to the card, the debit card, because you used to have to humble yourself and go to the register and pay with literal food stamps.
That's why New York made all lunches free in schools, to remove the stigma of, there's the poor kids getting
no
lunch.
child should ever be turned away.
Any thoughts on, as we think about obesity, which is a huge healthcare problem, there's been this instinct, for good reason, to want to, kind of celebrate body differences and again get to how do we do this in a way that makes people feel good about themselves. Any learnings you've had? You said yourself you were somebody that was in a rural desert on foods. What advice do you have on how to engage or how to do this in a way that respects the intelligence and the choice and everything else of the people you're serving?
Yeah, it's a great question. When you think of this box of food that arrives to the member's doorstep, it comes as what we call the delightful referable moment. When they're in the comfort of their own home, they can open the box, read the health literature in the box, and they can make the decisions themselves. I'm not a fan of telling people what they can and can't buy with SNAP dollars. You've got to let people go on their own self-efficacy journey, especially those that have to humble themselves and go to the Department of Economic Security to get on food stamps, to get on government aid. And that's why this program has been so successful. We've proven to be one of the best care management interventions that some health plans have ever done to engage the members. They call it a member activation. And it's because food has, it gives a feeling to individuals.
Feeds your soul as well as your body, right? Well, thank you for joining us. Look forward to seeing what happens from here. Thanks, Ashley.
Thank you so much for having me.